So this is your final exam, your midterm exam. So at a minimum, you need 10 faces and 2 holes. Actually, yeah, 2 holes. So if I look at this as an example, I don't know, arguably it has to fit on one piece of paper, so that's about right. And this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 faces, 9 faces actually, so we're a little bit shy. So let's start with a cube, just because maybe we'll make it into a rectangle. And so that's 6 faces right there, and I need 4 more. So let's say we do this. And my recommendation is you kind of keep things symmetric. So that adds 2 more faces. So now I'm up to 8. And something like that. And this will come down here. So these guys are gone. That's gone. And we need 2 holes. So let's just say that we put a hole here. I'll put another hole here, and 2 more faces. So let's see, if I were trying to do this fairly easily, maybe we'll just do something like that. We'll connect that to that, this guy down to here, this guy over to here, and that guy down to the corner. And then this will come across. So I have another face in there. So it'll be a little bit of a pyramid. I have to think about whether or not I can actually make that. So keep that in mind. You're going to have to end up making this in the end. So if you can't make that using the tools we have, then maybe that's a bad choice. Size-wise, so this guy's about 3 inches wide. So let's make this, say, 3 inches there, 3 inches there. Actually, yeah, what the heck, 3 inches there, and we'll make this an inch and that an inch, so we'll make it 2 inches tall. So I need to get this on the piece of paper. If I think about this as being the front, and this is my paper, then I'm going to have something that's a 3 by 2 block here, 3 and 2, and then when I look at it over here, it's also going to be a 3 inches, also 2, and then when I look at it from the top, it's going to be a 3 by 3. So I'm just going to keep that in the back of my head. So we're going to use this as a guideline for making our borders. So we'll start with a 1/4 inch border all the way around the edge. So I'm just going to come out a 1/4, put a little dot, because that's all the information I need. Come over here, put a dot at a 1/4. And the reason for that is I'm going to end up, all I need to do is see that dot there, and then I can scratch a line the full length. So I don't need to draw the whole line. I just need that one little dot there as a reference. And we're just doing this really light. And then come up a 1/4 off the bottom. And since I'm down here, I also need an 1/8, an 1/8, and an 1/8. So from a 1/4, I'm going to go up an 1/8, put a little dot, 2 dots, 3 dots. And then come up here, come down a 1/4. And really lightly scratch a line. And I'm just going to go up to the top. I'll come back to the middle later when I decide to write my name. 3.5 and 7.5. And that's all we'll do because this is an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. So it's not exactly what this was done for. So it's 3.5, 7.5. Scratch a line, scratch a line. So we'll come back to and do that later when we've got time. Since this is an exam, it's more important just to get the playing field down. So if I look at the width of this, it's basically 10.5. So I've got 3 here and 3 here, so that's 6 from 10.5. It's going to leave me with 4.5 inches to go. So if I put an inch over here, an inch over here, that's 2. That leaves me with 2 inches on the inside. I think that's going to be a little bit shy. And this is going to be the one, that's actually going to be the side that's going to be constricting, so let's try that. So this is 7.5 inches. 3, 4, 5. So minus 5. Leaves me with 2.5 inches. So if I had, say, a 1/2 inch down here, a 1/2 inch up here, then I'd have 1.5 inches in the middle. So let's try that. We'll put 1.5 inches in this space and in this space. So 1.5 inches from that leaves me with 3. So then this is 1.5 inches on this edge and 1.5 inches way over here. So just going to come over here 1.5 inches, put a little dot. Come over here 1.5 inches, put a dot. And all I'm trying to do is lay out my generic boxes where my views are going to be. So there's one for the left margin. There's another one. It's going to go all the way to the top for the other margin. And we said 1/2 on the top and 1/2 on the bottom. So we'll come up 1/2, put a dot, come down 1/2, put a dot. I'm doing this really, really, really lightly. Okay, so this is 3 by 2, so I'm going to come over here 3 inches, put a little dot, I'm going to go up 2, put a little dot, and that'll be that whole drawing. And the top is going to be 3 inches, so it'll come down here from the top 3. So there's my 3 by 3 cube, there's my 2 by 3 cube, and this one's going to be 3 by the exact same height. So just really extend that all the way out. And then come back 3 inches from this outside edge. Okay, so a lot of these are extra lines, overshots. It's not super critical at the moment. All right, off we go to try and draw this. So we said we were going to come up 1 inch over there, and you know, if this is 3, I don't know, if we wanted to make the top, say, a 1 inch square, it's going to be a little bit different. But yeah, let's call this width here 1 inch wide. So I'm going to draw this front view first. So if it's 1 inch out of 3, so that's 1 inch, 1 inch, and 1 inch. So 1 inch here, 1 inch here, and 1 inch here. It's not going to be to that scale, but who cares? So we're going to come in 1 inch there. There's 3, so we're going to come in 1 inch there. And then we're going to come up 1 inch off the bottom to get our inch there. And I know in the end this is going to be a solid line across, so I'm just going to lightly draw a line across, and I'll use my straight edge to connect that dot to that dot. So that's the front profile looking like that, less the 2 holes. And these are going to eventually, wherever that hits, is going to be somewhere up here. And same with that one. It's going to come up somewhere up there. So if I look at this from the side view, if this is an inch, do we want that to be an inch? We want everybody to match up. So I'll start here, then here, and go up to, let's just make that square. So if that's an inch, let's figure an inch in this side. So if that's 3, we'll do the same thing. So we'll just come in an inch, come in an inch, come in an inch, come in an inch. And again, I know this is going to be a straight line. So this view is now done, and I know on the top I've got a 1-inch square that's in the center. So I know this is centered there, and I know these 2 guys are going to get centered up over there. Still need to be thinking to yourself, hey, can I actually make this thing in person? Because that's the next task on this exam. So don't make something so complicated you can't make it, and be thinking, hey, how the heck am I going to make this diamond top? Because it probably won't be that easy. So if this is an inch and these are holes, I don't know, let's say we make that 1/2 inch hole. So if it's an inch, I'm going to come up an inch, and because I'm lazy, I'm just going to go halfway. So half seems like a nice place to do that. And then I'll come in half on this edge too. So this hole is sort of centered on this corner, and 1/2 inch over here. So I'm just going to give myself some reference marks for the center. Grab a stencil here for a 1/2 inch center, and so there's a 1/2 inch hole. And the way the stencil works is if you put these little holes right on the crosshairs, then you'll know you're on the center. So there's a 1/2 inch there. So I'm leaving myself notes over here because when I get done with this, I may have forgotten what the dimensions are. So I've got these 2 holes going through, got those hidden holes there. So as far as side counts go, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 on the sides, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 on the bottom. So I've met the minimum, and I think I can make this. So last thing I'm going to do is go in and darken all the lines so that this guy stands out. So double check that, see if anything's looking out of place. Make sure you got your dimensions. Maybe erase some of the hanging lines that aren't symmetrical. Don't get too carried away with that though, because you've darkened everything. It looks really nice, stands out. Got your name down here, and you're ready to go and make that block.